Well, actually I have three connections in that the first one is that when I first started playing drums, my first jobs were playing in a big band. And very different kind of music to this, but swing big band music. And the first 2 years of my professional life I spent playing big band music. And through the years I've always had the opportunity to come back and play again with big bands, which is always very exciting and very exhilarating, really exciting. And the second connection is I've worked for Colin before, and they indeed of this Mahavishnu music. They made a record, and before this recording sessions with Billy Cobham, I don't know if you know the record. And just before this recording session took place, I did the rehearsals with this band, HR band in Frankfurt, and for Billy, actually. And then Billy came, did the last 2 days, and then did the show. And you know, that was a great experience to do it, although I did not play the concert as such. Billy was scheduled to do it. So this time I got the opportunity to do it, which is really nice. And the third connection is that I also work with John McLaughlin as a keyboardist and drummer, so there are three connections there.
Very different from a typical 4 or 5 piece band, of course.
Oh, sure. Completely different. Different animal, different discipline, and of course, you know, dynamically it's very different too. You have to really adjust much more radically than like a 5-piece electric band or a 5-piece acoustic band. So very different proposition. I think both instruments aid the other very well, if that makes sense. They both, you know, piano and composition and general musical theory gives a broader conception to drums. I think it's intrinsically it means you're coming from somewhere that is already a lot broader than just thinking about 4/4 and hi-hat going to a ride cymbal and playing. So already there's a more complete understanding of music and harmony and form, more importantly, or just as importantly, and this really, I think, helps the drummer become a much broader musician, you know, the emphasis on the term musician.
Yes.
And similarly, since drums is an instrument that requires quite a lot of coordination between the limbs, as we know, you have a kind of bigger command in rhythm, in a much more sort of enclosed, maybe you know, an instrument which uses 2 limbs and 8 fingers and 2 thumbs. I think so. Yeah. and you know, and I think it really one instrument helps the other. They really aid each other, and help each other to grow, which is the ideal of a musician. What I'm trying to do is just to keep growing and getting better and better and better. And playing with both instruments is a great. It's a more complete existence for me. Instead of playing one, you know, it would not like to think about it if I couldn't play one. So it's normal for me.
You started with piano.
I did, yeah.
And then you moved to drums.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I had a classical piano teacher, and she was very dogmatic and a very big disciplinarian, very serious and very, very strict. And in her view, there was no other music in the world that was important except for Schumann and Brahms and Liszt. And I was determined to say, well, you know, I like improvisation. I like jazz. And all this was, of course, just the most dreadful news. So, I was castrated by her, and I thought, well, how can I make a way that she will not want to see me anymore? So I said, well, I'm playing drums now. She said, what? And she phoned my father and says, I will not see this child again.
Unfortunately.
And this was good because classical training on piano is very, very good. There's really nothing to compare with it. And by contrast, drums was very much of an elemental pursuit, more organic, more free, more liberal, and more passionate. Just more energetic, more exciting, with more money. No, not really.
You played keyboards with Billy Cobham, and also second drums, right?
I did.
Tell us something about this experience.
Well, it was a really interesting experience and very flattering. And he really helped me in terms of course, it was very big exposures, played to his audiences, which were mostly drummers, of course. Every drummer in the world would go and see him. And I got to play in front of them, so if they didn't know me in that concert, then they got to know of me, which was very great for exposure. And also, it was it was a great experience to interact on the drums with someone who was a hero to you when you were a kid, And I really enjoyed what we did a lot.
While going back to the past, in the late 70s, you also played with Alan Horsworth.
Yeah.
Which one was and is still now your mentor, let's say.
Yeah.
What professional growth gave you this experience? Because you were pretty young.
Yeah, I was really young. Yeah, I was playing in another band, and I was working my last 2 weeks with this band, but in a club in London called Ronnie Scott's, a very famous club. And he came in one night, I think by accident. Jack Bruce was also there. And I think it was the first time he'd heard me play. And he just came and said, I really like the way you play. And I was like sort of 18, 19. And I said, wow, that's Alan, and I thought, my God. And he said, I think, it'd be nice to get together and have a play. And I thought, sure. And I gave him my number. And sure, and the next day he called and said, let's play. And we played, and right from that moment, it was a very, very close understanding. It was almost as if I'd known him before for a long time, And I immediately had a very good understanding of his way in music. I don't know why. It's peculiar. But it was, it just seemed to come together like a miracle, And this was a great starting point. And really from that period with him, I was able to develop in a much more improvisational, free way than I could with any other player. Of course, it was totally inspiring too, because he's such a great player. And through the years, we worked a lot, and we developed a lot, side by side, very nice feeling. But these are the roots of my development in an improvisational way.
Just like in the movies.
Just like the movies. The original band were having a lot of internal problems, social problems. And I think, bands can be bands, and after a lot of time, particularly if you're very successful, there's a lot of pressure. And two of the guys didn't want to do it anymore, and Mark came, had to look for a new drummer, and they'd been checking a few people out, and I think they had some cassette tapes of one or two of the records with Alan, and he liked my snare drum sound. It was quite a high snare drum sound when a lot of other people were using it, like and he liked that, and he thought, oh yeah, I like his kind of presence, and he just gave me a call. I was in the States, and he said, would you like to join the band? And I was like, yeah, okay. But it's always been nice to move around and take advantage of different opportunities and possibilities, and I've been very lucky in the fact that work has come to me, and I haven't had to really suffer too much with that side. It's good, it's great.
Yeah.
But I think that it's always the answer, I think, to encouraging drummers to really play a lot with lots of different people in as many different places as you can, and record, because this is how people hear you. And it's how it worked for me. It's just through being heard, doing different things.
In fact, you played with a lot of different gene styles, a lot of different bands.
Yeah.
What is the difficulty in approaching music, so much different music?
The difficulty? Well, the trombone. The difficulties, you have to make like a transition in your mind and totally acclimatize yourself to whatever the project is in hand. Like, for instance, I got the opportunity a couple of years ago to play with Mike Stern, and I came to Rome actually.
Yeah.
And so it was my job to get a lot of his records, not only learn his music, but learn a lot about what he likes and what he responds to, and really surround myself and acclimatize myself to his music and his world of music and the way he likes it, so that I can go along and make him happy. And I've tried to do that in everything I do. I don't think it's enough to go along and just say, well, this is what I do. I want to go along, but I want to know them, so that I can offer them something that hopefully they're going to like. And this is important to me to do things that way. And that takes work. It's good work, though. It's good because they know when you get there that you've already been working for them. Even though you're just about to play together for the first time.
Do you teach?
No.
You make some seminars, do you?
Sometimes, like maybe a clinic, but not very often. I have to really feel that I've got something to offer, really. And many times I just feel like I'm just a kind of a musician, but I don't have a lot of tricks, and I don't have a lot of very elaborate technical stuff. I just play. So if this is good enough for clinics, maybe I should think again. I like to get involved in education. It frustrates me sometimes that certain principles that I feel as a musician and as a drummer aren't always to the forefront or really even acknowledged a lot of the time. And maybe one day I've been speaking to a company in America called Altitude Digital, which recently did a DVD for Todd Zuckerman, and I think I'm going to do something for them. I don't know whether it's tuition-based or performance, but I will do something.
This is the news.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's the news.
Tell us something about your band. You have a four-piece band,
I do,
right?
yeah. Well, it's tenor saxophone, soprano saxophone, and I have a trumpet player, a very new trumpet player in England called Richard Turner, He's 23, very, very hot. And I have a bass player called Michael Janish, very good player. And together it's much more drum feature. In fact, it's my first record as a leader to play drums, mainly, you know. And I'm very pleased with the album. It's called Drive. It's called Hotwired.
Yeah.
The band is called Drive, and it comes out next February. And I really hope people will like it. I'm very, very happy with it.
Can you tell us something about your non-musical nature?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to. I wanted to be a racing driver. There was something about the speed, but also the speed and the precision, and control, and of course to win, you know. But I was really, really in love with that for a long time, until my mom, I think, said, "No, don't do that, please." So I like Formula One, and I like boxing a lot, not because of what it does to you, but because of the skill and the precision involved there, the timing. So a lot of musicians make a lot of parallels to boxing, great boxers, because their timing is so good. And where they do something, you know, and I think of Miles Davis or something, you know, it just happens right at the right time, you know, for the ultimate impact. And I love that. So, and I also like tennis, you know, but I don't like football. Not at all. I'd like to say a big hello to all at Planet Drum and everybody watching this video. And I feel good about being on Planet Drum. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks so much.